This is Antstream Arcade. We're here on Xbox Series X. Be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well. So what are we getting here? Well, this is a collection of over 1,300 classic games from the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s. We're getting a 4K resolution. Now, frame rate wise, I would say that it's going to vary because there is well over 1,300 games. I think that's a fair note to make. There's local play up to 4 players, and a few different ways that you can interact with this experience. So it is subscription based, so you can get different types of passes based on, kind of what you want in regards to gameplay. Do you want like a limited time? Do you want like a long time? It's totally up to you and how you want to go about it. But let's dive in and let's show off just something, for example, a game, so you get an idea of it in action. So, Burger Time. Classic game. It's actually a game my mother loves. Absolute classic. You go in and you get things, like being able to play it. You can favorite it. There's challenges. There's scores. There's similar games. So you can hopefully find more similar content if you like Burger Time. But let's jump in and let's play and showcase what this is. So this is a service that you stream, like, essentially to your console. Like, you download the app. You download this app on the Xbox, which will include your whatever level of subscription and that you have selected. And then you just play the games. All of the games are, well, optimized for your controller. And all of the games are clean, clear, and running, well, correctly. It's really, really cool. I've been sitting here playing a huge selection of absolutely classic retro games. They have all kinds of stuff. There's like Mortal Kombat, there's Burger Time, there's like Super Star Wars stuff, there's an old Indiana Jones game, there's like collections from different generations of essentially like console platforms from like way back in the day. There's a lot of stuff in this package. It's also pretty cool because I can press start, and I can get killed by a pepper because it doesn't actually do that for me. So anyways, so you can press these two buttons together, start in the back, and then you can go and there's like settings, like volume. You can create a save, you can learn how to play, and you can also just quit the game if you want to move on to something else and go back to the main menu. So aside from just being able to play these games like on demand at any point that you want, you can also go and there's tournaments, so you can join tournaments. You can see your achievement progress. There's messages based on how you've done stuff. So there was a podium overtake, somebody beat my score, and some things. That's something we'll talk about in a sec. So yeah, you can go to play now, and they've got these really cool kind of like quick challenges you can do. So it's like you get one life or whatnot, and you gotta like make it work and get like the best score possible. So let's do, I don't know, Bad Dudes. I don't know any of these ones. Hold the Salt. How long can you survive without running away? It's showtime. Okay, let's do this game for instance. So this is a single challenge where it's kind of like, how well can you do with like one life? Stuff like this. So it's like these rolling challenges that are always like kind of ongoing, and it's like a neat sense of like variety. Oh, that's not good. Are they coming out with like bats? It's not a great weapon to use against me, but they've got all of these different games. Now, if you like old nostalgic titles, there's a few selections these days on the Xbox, but I don't know if there's any really quite as big as this compilation package. And it's something where it's like, I'm assuming some games will come and go over time, licensing-wise, since it's like a subscription type thing. But yeah, I am actually genuinely impressed with, the offering that is present here. Like, there's a lot of games, and they all run really smoothly, and they all offer just like a lot of different ways to experience these old titles, which is awesome. There's like over 600 minigame challenges, with new challenges being added like monthly. Oh wow, I did totally just walked right into that. There's like duel challenges with your friends. Leave your mark on the arcade. Oh, did I get like a special challenge earned? Yes. I've been trying to get that. So there's challenges too. So there's like, that was basically these rolling like kind of challenge things, and then there's also the challenges. I'm glad I actually got one. It's been embarrassing so far. Now, I would say the one thing I have is like discovery is a little hard on this one, because it's like I didn't know they had Star Wars until I went and searched, and I didn't know that they had, you know, certain games like there's an Indiana Jones game I found, and I didn't even know they had that, because when you scroll through the menu you get limited options, but the more you play the more things suggest to you. But it's like there's a lot of games, right? There's over 1,300 titles, so when you're kind of sitting here and you're like, well, what do I play? Like, how do I find something new to play? Do they have this game? You got to kind of search for it. So I do think the discovery could be a little better on this side of things, but honestly, like, it all kind of works out really, really easily. Like, it's a very simple kind of game set up to play. You jump in, you play the different games, and you have fun checking out these classics. Now, I would imagine for, like, the younger audience there, you might not be, like, super into this concept. But for those that are, like, veteran players that love these older games, it's a really nice way to jump in and play a whole bunch of things. It's really, really quite awesome. And then you can adjust your user profile as well, and you can see all the games. 1447 games right now. And I was mostly just trying to see that everything works correctly as it's supposed to. And then there's crossplay, and then you can see when your subscription ends. So I've got a year on this one. There are different types of basically the subscriptions you can go for on this one, which is nice. But there is, like, just a ton of games. I think I've tried more than just 9 titles, I believe, too. I don't know if that's tracking right. But anyways, so you get, like, all of these titles, and they're all properly, optimized for the platform. That's in terms of controls and gameplay. And it's like, sure, there's, lots of different ways to play older games on, the Xbox platform, which is pretty cool. But I'm really highlighting this one. I didn't even jump. That was pretty bad. I'm highlighting this one because I think it's really quite a cool concept. I love how Indiana Jones is like, he comes in here, he's just like punching bats. It's a cool concept because it's a nice, clean way to sit in here and just play like a bunch of really old games and see if there's something cool, or doing some challenges, or kind of experiencing the games in a way that you might not have back in the day. And they do give you the features of like creating saves, so there is some modern improvements and stuff, I would say, to this package that makes it more worthwhile. Yeah, it's also kind of funny. I was kind of sitting there being like, yeah, Indiana Jones going around punching bats, punching the local natives of the landscape, and yeah, what an adventure. But yeah, it's stuff like this that is, to me, really, really intriguing. I think you do... Oh, I'm dead. That you can go back and you can play these old games in a very clean way. Because a lot of people, your options are kind of limited to what you find in the store unless you want to go outside of that. So this is just a nice way for the regular individual out there to come in and be like, well, I want to play some PacMan. And you just go and you, like, play some PacMan, and it's nice and easy, and there's not really any, like, effort involved. It doesn't take up a lot of space. I think the whole game, like, the package for this is, like, under 500 megabits. So it's, like, I don't know. I guess you would say it's basically just, like, an app worth of space. It's tiny. And you just, yeah, they all look really clean. They all run pretty well. I don't think the demand on this is pretty hard to stream because, these games are classic arcade games. They're really easy going. And you can sit here and you can just... I'm assuming there's, like, something out there for everyone to play, considering how many games are here. And you might discover something really cool and new, or you might be sitting there just kind of playing your classics and your favorites. That was my thing, was kind of just sitting here, and I go for the discovery point, was trying to find, you know, the games I wanted to play are games that I'm like, ooh, this would be neat to play. And it's almost like a Netflix problem where you're kind of sitting there and you're like, I have too many choices, you know, and it's like only showing me this other stuff. But yeah, the more you play it, the more you get like preference things that pop up. Like it's got like Metal Slug, and I'm personally a really big Galaga fan, so it's kind of cool that Galaga's here. Now I see that like not every publisher is sort of like available and stuff, and I didn't really expect that. So it's kind of like, you know, do you want to jump in and occasionally play, you know, some classic games? That's the biggest thing, is you kind of like, you know, you make that choice of value. Is this something that's intriguing for you? But it's a pretty, to me, it's like a really cost-effective sort of way to jump in and play just a pile of like old games. If you're, you know, someone that's younger and you're not, and he's, because usually you can have one of the creatures steal your spaceship, and then you can shoot it to save your spaceship, and then you get 2 spaceships. But anyways, no, my little ship got blown up. I actually really do love Galaga. I'm very, very fond of the game. But yeah, it's sort of like, if you want to discover a ton of retro games, this is like one of the better ways to play it. And I'm playing Galaga horribly right now. I just want to put that out there. I'm trying to also get through my talking points. But if you're nostalgic and you're like, oh, I want to go back and easily, whenever I feel like it, access my older games, this, you know, or some of the games I played back in the day, this is a great way for you to be able to do that, right? Like, you get so many games. There's like endless options. And then outside of like just straight up retro stuff, there does appear to be like sort of an indie game selection too. So it's like you can also see on the corner of the various games like what platform things are from. So it's like Blockout. Oh, Blockout, wow, okay. From the arcade. And then this is from the Amiga, the Atari Lynx. Quite a lot of Atari stuff. They must have gotten a good one on that. The C64, Barbarian, the Ultimate Warrior. Like there's so many like options. Oh, Rogue from the C64. Should we give that one a whirl? Oh, wow, that looks... that was the fun thing back in the day, was like, you know, the box art for stuff had to be really good to sell you on. They got clay fighters? No way. I'm sorry, that's what I'm saying, discovery-wise. I'm just like, huh? You know, some stuff... Really? This game is on here? Okay. That's so funny. See, you can come across weird things. Yeah, Bad Mr. Frost. Oh my god. So there's a lot of ways to experience the arcade in this one. There's a lot of different games for you to play, a lot of things for you to experience. And it's just like, it's ridiculous. They have like fighting games, they have racing games, they've got, strangely, a whole selection of pinball titles. They've got a lot of weird, quirky stuff in this one. Actually, some pretty good games, too, where I kind of sit here and I'm like, wow. This is one of those games where I'm just kind of like, I've heard of this one, I've seen it before, but yeah, I've never played this one. Like, I've seen people, like, play it, and I've kind of been like, this is a weird fighting game. Especially with, like, the history of it, but it's kind of funny looking. I don't know, that's the idea of it, though, is, like, maybe discovering, like, a new game for you to play. And it's nice to have them all cleanly presented and available for you to easily check out and, like, enjoy, you know? And you may think, oh, he's got, like, no patience because he switches between all the games, but I'm trying to, as I'm doing my talking points and stuff, show off as much as I can, right? Like, there's a lot of games in this, like Samurai Shodown. There's you know, stuff from the SNES. There is a lot of stuff. There's sports games, arcade, action, adventure games, and then the indie games too are kind of like a selection of ones they've brought in. Sorry, my internet connection is like a little off today. So we could do something like, I don't know, I think we should highlight this era. Let's Yeah, let's go for this one. I just want to show off, a bit of slice of life of everything. I also want to get to like one of the Star Wars titles too, because I got the Super Star Wars games from like back in the day. It's amazing that they were able to like kind of get all the licensing from this stuff and still make it like a really sort of affordable kind of offering. Like, oh, that was bad. I love trying out different games, and there's a lot of like classic games where I'm sort of like, I really like the idea of these. So it's neat that you can kind of sit here and just like jump in and try a bunch of stuff and see if there's something you like or something you enjoy. But, as I did note, I'm sure, retro stuff isn't for everyone, and that's totally fair. But I think there's more than enough of, like, good stuff in here to, like, actually justify, like, the good kind of value that this package does actually provide. Like, there is so much to see. Like, as I said, again, I really find it hard to believe that out of this many games, you wouldn't find something you like. Rampage there, they did that movie with The Rock or whatever a while back. Oh yeah, good old root beer tapper. Now this one always bothered me in the sense, not the game, I actually really like root beer tapper, but like I don't think it's backwards compatible on the Series X. And I never understood why that was, because it's like it was from the 360 arcade. So it must have been some kind of licensing thing, but... So yeah, if you're not familiar with root beer tapper, you send out the drinks, and then sometimes you gotta like pick up the glasses, and you gotta get like the tips and stuff, and there's like a root beer tapper mini game. It's a pretty it's like a pretty classic game, but it honestly is like root beer tapper is like really cool. Seriously, like you are missing out if you've never played root beer tapper, because this one is so awesome. See, now I love that there was a certain point where they were doing all of the the Xbox arcade. Oh. They were doing the dancing and it messed up. Yes, they were doing the 360 arcade back in the day, and there was so many games, and I was kind of like, what are these? And like, they were familiar to like my parents at that point, so they were kind of showing me stuff, and that's where I was experiencing all these older titles, and there's so many of them. They're like really, really cool. Like the Star Wars, the classic Star Wars stuff, well, I think I actually had... I had that on like the Super Nintendo, honestly. But I do want to show, and I don't see that it showed up in my stuff, but the classic Gauntlet. Elf shot the food. I know you're in here. So, what do we have here? We've got C64 arcade. Podium Steel. Oh, I did a burger time, or somebody stole my burger time. Oh, they have Gauntlet 2 as well. Huh. Funny. So yeah, if you're not familiar with Gauntlet, it is a classic game. Let's throw in a coin and get started. But there's so much stuff to experience. It's a really nice, clean package.
Welcome. Treasure 100 points.
I usually play as the elf though, so I think I accidentally clicked the warrior here. Used to the 360 arcade, you just kind of jump in. So if you're not familiar with Gauntlet, you're like, it's like a classic dungeon crawling game, essentially. Like, maybe the classic dungeon crawling. Anyways, yeah, and you're kind of like fighting all these creatures and stuff and collecting items, and you gotta like kill them before they like spawn. Gauntlet is so cool. But that's the thing, it's like, look at all these games I've been kind of showing, and it's like, I'm not even digging into like the smallest amount of, what this is? I press start a whole bunch to put in a bunch of coins, and now I've got a ton of health instead of how much I should. Oh! Gauntlet is super cool. I have to... See, I just skipped like level 8. So there was like an afternoon where I got my mother and my sister to sit there with me, and we played Gauntlet 3, like the 360 arcade Gauntlet, and we literally like... there's an achievement to get like a ridiculous level. So we just kept like basically cheating it to get the achievement. For like, well, not cheating it, but kept giving ourselves like coins so that we could go get the achievement for getting to like some ridiculously high level. It was like a whole afternoon thing. It was is quite an experience. But I think overall, the biggest thing I want to get across is I think this is actually quite a worthwhile collection of games. There's some really cool stuff here. There's some fun tournament settings. All the games look great. They're all upgraded nicely. They offer a lot of stuff for you to do and a lot of stuff for you to see, and I think it's a really nice, worthwhile package that plays well, looks good, and is actually optimized for the Xbox controller.